Hello, boys and girls. I am so excited to welcome you to our very first day of Joy in July. Joy is like happiness, but even better. The J in joy stands for Jesus. The O stands for others, and the Y stands for yourself. Truly, one can feel so much joy by loving Jesus, loving others, and loving yourself, which is just what Jesus instructs us to do in our theme passage for this week from Matthew 22, verses 37 through 39. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. That is such a wonderful passage. Let's see if we can memorize it together this week. I'll read it one more time. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 22, 37 through 39. Well, each day this week, we are going to learn more about God by exploring a story about Jesus. Then, after each story, you'll have the opportunity to do an act of kindness that shares God's love and joy with others. And that will all together allow you to experience God's love and joy yourself. Well, let's jump in. Today is Miraculous Monday, and the story we are about to hear is most certainly a miracle. You can find it in the Bible in the New Testament, John chapter 6, verses 1 through 14. But today I'm going to read it to you from the Jesus Storybook Bible. Listen as I read. There once were 5,000 tired and hungry and probably very grumpy people, sitting on a hillside wanting their dinner. They had come to hear Jesus that day. They came before breakfast, stayed all morning, all afternoon, and way past dinner. No one had meant to be out there that long, but that's how it was listening to Jesus, as if time didn't exist. People could listen to Jesus for hours, and on this particular day, that is just what they did. But they hadn't brought enough food, and they couldn't just go and buy themselves a burger and fries, because of course, well, they were in the middle of nowhere with no shops or restaurants. And besides, burgers and fries weren't even invented yet. What would they do? Jesus' friends had an idea. Let's send everyone home for dinner, they said. But Jesus said, they don't need to go. You can give them something to eat. Did Jesus want them to travel all the way to town and buy food for everyone? Jesus' friends panicked. We don't have enough money. Well, what food do you have? Jesus asked. Go and see. Now, there was a little boy in the crowd. He had brought a lunch that his mother had made for him that morning. He looked at his 5 loaves and 2 fish. It wasn't much. Not nearly enough for 5,000, but it was all that he had. he said. Jesus' friends laughed when they saw his little bitty lunch. That's not nearly enough, they said, but they were wrong. Jesus knew it didn't matter how much the little boy had. God would make it enough, more than enough. Jesus said, "Bring me what you have." And so the little boy gave Jesus his lunch. Jesus winked at the little boy and whispered in his ear, "Watch this." How in the world will Jesus feed everyone with just that? Jesus' friends asked and wondered because they thought it was impossible. But Jesus knew the one who made all the fish in the sea, and Jesus knew the one who in the very beginning had made everything out of nothing at all. How hard would something like this be for someone like that? Jesus took the little boy's lunch, looked up to heaven, and thanked his Father. Then Jesus gave the little lunch back to his friends. As Jesus' friends started to hand out the food, do you know what? It was the strangest thing. No matter how much they broke off, there was always more, and more, and more, enough for 5,000. Everyone ate as much as they wanted, seconds, thirds, even fourths, until they were full. And still there were leftovers. Well, Jesus did many miracles like this, things people thought couldn't happen. But it was the most natural thing in all the world. It's what God has been doing from the beginning, of course, taking nothing and making it everything, taking the emptiness and filling it up, taking the darkness and making it light. Wow, what a great story that was. The boy simply shared his lunch, and Jesus made a miracle out of it to feed 5,000 people. I wonder, what simple things can each of us do that Jesus could use to help others in a big way? Listen to Miss Becky as she shares one idea and then leads us in a prayer for today.
Hi everyone. In today's story, we see that it doesn't take a big act to make a big difference. The boy in the story simply shared his lunch, and Jesus made a miracle out of it to feed 5,000 people. Today, using the mix that's provided in your joy bag, you can make some muffins to share with the help of an adult, of course, to share with a neighbor or a grandparent or a friend, so that you can spread God's love and give them a little bit of extra joy today. Do you have a prayer with me, please? Thank you, God, for today and for our story about how even a small child can make a big difference with your help. Please bless the children as they make their muffins, and bless the people that they share them with. Please let them know how much you love them. Thank you for loving us. We love you. Amen.